Welcome back to our third video on the Ohio Mechanics Institute and the Emery Auditorium. This episode will explore the history of the auditorium, its golden age, how it was forgotten, and how it is being reborn.
The Emery Theater Auditorium was originally designed as the auditorium for the Ohio Mechanics Institute. After Mary Emery gets involved with the project, she insisted it become a world-class theater and the home of a symphony orchestra. The original design plans were for seating for 850 people. That was changed to 2,200 seats when Mary Emery designed the theater itself. The final plans were approved by Mary Emery on May 31st of 1910. The acoustics of the facility were designed by Leopold Stokowski. He was the director of the Cincinnati Symphony Orchestra, and he designed it to be acoustically perfect. He compared the acoustics here with none other than Carnegie Hall. This was the third in a four-part series of acoustically perfect theaters designed throughout America. The first was Carnegie Hall in New York in 1892. You had Orchestra Hall in Chicago in 1904, the Emery itself here in 1911, followed by Orchestra Hall in Detroit in 1919. This was the first of these theaters to have no obstructed seating. As you can see, there's not a single pillar vertically in the entire theater. Every seat had an unobstructed view of the stage. The first performance was held January 6th of 1912. This would be the home of the Cincinnati Symphony Orchestra from 1912 up until 1936, when they moved back to their former home of Music Hall. After the CSO moves out, they were quickly replaced by the Federal Theater Project. This was part of the WPA program during the Great Depression, and they held performances here from 1936 up until 1938. At that time, the program was canceled by the federal government. After that, they had sporadic events here throughout World War II, and in 1946, this became home to Broadway shows and national touring acts. They did that up until 1948, when this would become home of the Children's Theater in 1949. By 1949, the Children's Theater had grown so large they needed a new venue to house them, and the Emery became a perfect fit. The Junior League would give them a donation of $12,000, which is equivalent to about $137,000 in today's money. In 1969, the Children's Theater left for their current venue at the Taft Theater. There was really no replacement for the Children's Theater here at the Emery, but they continue to have speeches and sporadic events as they had in the past. Some of the more famous speeches that occurred from this very stage: First Lady Eleanor Roosevelt gave a speech here in 1938, as did Martin Luther King Jr. in 1959. The Ohio Mechanics Institute merged with the University of Cincinnati in 1969. In 1978, they would be rebranded as the College of Applied Sciences, and in 1989, they moved to UC's main campus. After UC left, there was still a little life here at the Emery Theater. In the 1970s, this became home of the Ohio chapter of the National American Theater Organ Society. And in 1977, the mighty Wurlitzer was installed here. That was a $55,000 pipe organ originally installed in the historic Albee Theater in 1927, and then it was salvaged after the theater closed in 1968. The Emery's mighty Wurlitzer would bellow out its last tune on October 24th of 1999. It was then dismantled and restored for $250,000, making its way to its permanent home currently at Music Hall. In the 1980s, there were a few attempts made to help restore and bring life back to this historic venue. Senator Stanley Aronoff, then chairman of the Senate Finance Committee, was able to secure $4.5 million for renovation of this building in 1988. In 1990, as Senate President, Aronoff was able to secure another $500,000 towards this project. Unfortunately, none of the money would get spent on the OMI and Emery Theater. The historic Emery Theater would finally go dark on December 5th of 1999. There have been a few performances held here since, but very infrequent and sporadic. All this exciting history brings us to today. In September of 2019, the University of Cincinnati announced the sale of the Emery Center to 100 Central Parkway LLC, a partnership formed by Chris Frutkin and Dave Nyer. The sale included the Coffee Emporium storefront, the entire Ohio Mechanics Institute building, and 74 newly renovated apartments, as well as the Emery Theater. The group also announced a letter of intent to the Children's Theater of Cincinnati for the renovation of the Emery Theater and to explore this as a new space. In that letter of intent, it included a 2-year process to vet the space and secure a funding model. And the next time you step foot in here, it's going to be the home of the Cincinnati Children's Theater.